tuning in for another Comics Weekly wrap-up where I share with you the books I've read for the week. Hopefully this wrap-up won't be as long as last week's wrap-up. I know last week's was like 20 minutes, but I managed to actually find some extra time and I read, I think like 9 books, maybe 10 last week. Well, anyways, the first book I got to share with you guys is Blue is the Warmest Color by Julie Moreau. And this is a French graphic novel. It is a feature film now. I will admit that I have seen the film first before reading
I just
this.
didn't want to read the book right away. I mean, I thought the film was great, and I rated the film like 4 out of 5 stars on Netflix. But I wasn't like really in a big hurry to read the graphic novel. And this is one of the things that kind of gets to me is that a lot of people on Goodreads were basing their ratings of the graphic novel based on having seen the film. And I don't really think that that's fair, just because the film had a little bit more detail and it was a little bit longer because it's a different media. This is very beautiful in its own right, but it's about a girl named Clementine, and she basically falls for this blue-haired girl named, I think her name is Anna, if I remember right. Well, anyways, it's just about their life together and how they lived together for a while, and I'm not going to reveal, but in the end, something happens, and it's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's very touching, and I thought this was a good story. I really enjoyed it, and I got to be careful what I share with you guys on this, about this book, because there's some things not suitable for children. It's kind of neat when you look at the words, you can tell that they used like a line to line up the text and the bubbles. You kind of see the remnants of lines there. But yeah, I rated this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I thought it was pretty good. You should check it out. Don't want to show you that. Can't show you that because there's a little bit of nudity, but definitely not suitable for kids.
Okay, up next we have East of West Volume 2. This takes place in an alternate world where, like, right after the Civil War, something happens, and it's kind of like the apocalypse, where they have, like, the Horsemen of the Apocalypse, and it's like the Neo-Wild West, I would say, but it's still like the Wild West, but it's like kind of like cyberpunk. It's different, like technology and stuff like that. I don't know if cyberpunk's the right word, but yeah, it's kind of, blending of Western and technology. But I thought the artwork was great, but the story was kind of, I don't know, it was kind of convoluted. Like, it didn't really make sense at times. It doesn't really explain itself. I know a couple people were saying that that's why they didn't like this, but I rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. I think I really enjoyed the first volume of this. And I'm probably going to pick up book 3, but I don't know when I'm going to pick that up. After that, I picked up Superman, Wonder Woman, Volume 2, War and Peace. This one has what happens to Superman when he becomes Apocalypse, basically. Or not Apocalypse. Oh, what the hell was that guy's name? I don't even... Doomsday, when he became Doomsday. And, basically resolving that issue. And then it's got other, like, little things like gaps, and it doesn't explain itself towards the end, like a different conflict. I think this is one of those books where it's picking up from their individual books and finishing them in this. And I don't really like the idea of that, because if you don't read all of those books, you really don't know what's going on. And that's why I was kind of lost in some parts of this. And that's why I rated this one 3 out of 5 stars, because of that. Okay, up next I have Grounded Part 1 and Part 2, and you're probably wondering, why are you holding up 2 books at the same time? Well, I'm doing this because I'm going to tell you about this whole, like, storyline in one, so I don't have to go through each individual book. And the reason for that is I read
I read the first part and I was like, wow, this is really bad. And it is written by Michael J. Straczynski, or J. Michael Straczynski, who is the writer of Babylon 5, the TV show. And usually he's a pretty good comic book writer. But for some reason, I just really couldn't get into this storyline. And the reason I wanted to go over both of these instead of doing them individually is because they're both equally bad. Well, this one was a little better than the second part, but they're both bad. I rated both of these 2 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and I really don't want to waste your guys' time when making videos going too much in detail about a really bad book. And I like to think I'm sharing these with you anyways because, from my viewpoint, I read it so you don't have to. Well, anyways, basically what this one storyline is about, pretty much, it's like, when I was reading it, I kept thinking it's Superman's midlife crisis, because Superman, for some reason, he hears how he didn't get the chance to save somebody because he was out in space, like, doing something for another civilization, and this lady was all butthurt because her husband died, and she's like, you could have saved my husband, but yeah, like, this selfish bitch thinks that everybody that's a superhero is going to bend over backwards to save one fucking person. Are you real? Seriously? No. But yeah, it was stuff like that. So Superman gets like this like guilt trip, and he decides to walk around the different cities of the United States. And meanwhile, he's got somebody in the background, of course, who's trying to mess with him. And then he's introduced to this like future society of Supermen, and they reside in the Fortress of Solidarity. And it was just so bad. It was so out there, and it was so all over the place, and the stories were just lacking. It didn't keep me interested. It didn't get me excited, and that's why I thought they were pretty bad. And I'm not going to go too much more into them because just stay away from them.
We have Spawn Volume 1. This is by Todd McFarlane. If you're not familiar with who Todd McFarlane is, he's the creator of Venom. He used to draw for Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, I think it was. Well, anyways, he had some like issues with Marvel because he wanted to take the Venom character in a different direction, and then Marvel said no, and so he went over to Image and created Spawn. Now, what I thought of this was, I have to admit that this came out in the 90s, and I had heard of Spawn, but I had never picked up a single issue. I did see the movie. I thought the movie was just okay, and I kind of did think that this also was just okay. I only rated this 3 out of 5 stars. I just, I wanted to just have the opportunity to read it just to say that I read it. And I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. After that, I picked up Legendary Starlord Volume 2, Rise of the Black Vortex. The Black Vortex is another story that, of course, leads into the Secret Wars. And I thought the beginning of this was really sappy. It was really romancy and just kind of didn't really appeal to me because it's like Peter Quill and Kitty Pryde, their whole little dating thing. But once they got to the Black Vortex part, when it showed how the Black Vortex kind of changes people, I thought that was kind of interesting. And I guess this ties in with the all-new X-Men, so it made it a little more interesting. This one I only rated 3 out of 5 stars as well. It was okay, it could have been a little better, but it is what it is. Next up we have New Avengers Other Worlds. I think this is Volume 3. Well, anyways, this leads into the Secret Wars. It's like they dragged out the Secret Wars storyline and knowing they were going to go into it, and it got to be very annoying. So, I was at first, when I read a majority of this book, I was thinking that it was just not that great, because it just seemed, I was so frustrated and so, like, sickened by the fact that they dragged out the storyline for the Secret Wars, that I was, like, absolutely hating to read this, because after reading that one very long story, that I just didn't know what to think of this. And it wasn't until I got to the end of this, I was like, okay, I liked it. So I did eventually rate this 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, just because the ending kind of changed my mind about it. I did think the artwork was kind of neat. I mean, it was a positive. That I like the art style of this one. It's one I'm not used to seeing. But yeah, Marvel really stretched that Secret Wars storyline out way too much. After that, I picked up Marvel Comics The 12. This is supposedly some team. I don't know if they were really Marvel superheroes or if they just made them up just for this book. But they're supposedly from the 1940s, and they're really lame heroes, in my honest opinion. And for some reason, this is another one of those books that had like a 4 out of 5 star rating on Goodreads. I read it, and I absolutely hated this thing. I gave it a 1 out of 5 stars. And it was just kind of lame, if you ask me. Like, even if they are real Marvel heroes that they're trying to pull back and give them a different feel, I just didn't like it. So, that was garbage. After that, I read the FF Volume 3, All Hope Lies in Doom. Another lead into the Secret Wars. And this one, oh, the artwork was really kind of funky looking. Like, it made all the kids look like gnomes or something. But of course, it has Doom in it, and Richard's kids are trying to, they built this bridge, and they're trying to help save their Earth in the multiverse and all that. And I only rated this one 3 out of 5 stars. It was just okay. Like I said before, you know, Marvel stalling with the Secret Wars event was kind of annoying. Okay, this is going to be my last and final book for my weekly wrap-up, and it is Gotham Academy, Welcome to Gotham Academy, Volume 1. There's the front of that, and there's the back of it. This is written by Becky Cloonan, which she's the one who did Demo. You guys have seen me review Demo. I thought that was a pretty good book, and she knows how to write about teens and like stuff like that. But this book is very much, because it's set in an academy, it kind of reminded me of Harry Potter, just for that reason, because it's a kid's school, like a boarding school type thing. But it also had the mystery thing going for it, so it kind of reminded me of Scooby-Doo and the Scooby-Doo Mystery Machine Gang, because it was like kind of like, I don't know. I would say that this is appropriate for children, maybe 10 and up. It just really screamed this is a kid's book. It really didn't appeal to me all that much. I thought the artwork was okay. It was okay. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. Would I pick this series up and read it some more? Probably not, because like I said, it just wasn't my thing. But the whole mystery of what's going on underneath the school, and it does feature Batman. He's not really in it that much. He was in it like a couple pages, but yeah. And I thought this was really odd. But this is an autographed book that somebody had donated to my local library, which I thought was kind of weird, that somebody would get an autographed book and donate it. So, yeah. But that was what I thought of that one. If you have read any of these, or if you intend on reading any of them, let me know down below and what you thought of them. Or if you have any suggestions for me, let me know down below for those as well. Thank you for watching. Until next time, later guys.